Hi, this is Johnny Millwall here at the Energy Sculptor blog, and I've got a very special guest I'm going to talk to tonight, and his name is Jeff Johnson. Jeff Johnson, welcome.
Hi there. Hi there. How are you, Johnny?
So I've just been working with Jeff in a festival at Évora in Portugal, and the reason I'm going to ask him some questions tonight is just because he is kind of a myth around the clown world, and it's very clear why, because he is a very special person. So Jeff, while we talk, right about life in that, what is your take on clowning right now in 2015?
What's my take? What's my observation of clowning? First of all, the question most people ask is, what does clown mean, or what is clown?
Okay, I was going to ask that, but I thought it was a bit cliche. But
yeah. Well,
so what is?
It's a good lead-in.
What is for you? What is clown, and exactly how does it connect for you in the world right now? What's the importance of it?
What has helped me is to think, what is clown, and be simple. Clown is a word, and a word, it carries some significance depending on what it carries for us. So a word is a symbol, and when we hear the symbol or read it or see it, it touches this sentiment that people have, or that they've learned, that they put on it. And once a word carries a really important significance, it becomes like a talisman, it has power. So clown, for me, is a word that carries a lot of variables, and most of them are ineffable, not describable words. At least in English, we haven't the words to really tell what it is, like beauty or love or something. But we know for sure that the word is being used in the world today. All over the world, this word clown is familiar these days. I've been in Africa, the Orient, Russia, Europe, all of America, etc., Australia, South Pacific, and all these places, clown rings a bell, whether they speak English or not. So there's something, a lot of people think it's an English word, but the root is not English, and nobody really knows the origin. In the academic congress I was in last year in Switzerland, it was a big topic, and the word Claude, or some medieval words that might touch it. So there's a lot of interest in what this word signifies. But to me, for sure, in all the interpretations of street performer, comedian with nose, Lecoq graduate, theatre performer, circus performer, it has many contexts where we apply this word, and a wide range of performance styles or non-performance styles or performance art styles or self-expression styles, but they all seem to have something in common. And so for me, I'm fascinated in what is common, which is some attempt to touch this universal or maybe primitive or possibly divine denominator or root that we all human beings have in common. Something that we remember that has been repressed out of us, that's swimming inside of us. It's in our consciousness, it's in our hearts, it's in our guts, but our logical minds, our social minds are prohibited from being expressed. So we need permission to be stupid, to be this, to be that. And so clown has become a vehicle for a lot of people to do self-discovery work, to explore, to come together as communities. And through comedy or humor, maybe better the word is humor.
And in your moments of work, have you felt the divine
brings people together
when you've been working? And the moments that you can remember that clearly there was a divine connection when you were improvising?
Sure. Most of my work, I like to work in a spirit of free play. I think that some idea or some game comes to mind, and then to try to explore this area of free play at some period of time through some filter of character or device or whatever. But there are times, the time that feels most special or most guided by an outside force or by pure creation in the moment is when there's a connection with, on a different level, a fascination with the surrounding. It's sort of, my perspective expands to include the other. I can't sit where you are and see me. I can't have this interview with myself. And that's a great sadness. I can only look at a mirror or a cheap video or something and see this reflection. I can never, and searching for me, I can never say hello, me. I can say hello, you. And if we have an honest encounter, really a meeting of the eyes, and really, if I'm open enough to trust you, and then you feel in encouraged to come in, and in this process you're opening, or you open, and it invites me in. That bridge is built, isn't it? And the energy sort of links. We realize that the two become a sort of binary organism, and we say, oh, the self is the other is the self. And that's a very dangerous idea politically, but it feels quite divine. It feels like, oh, my origin story, my mystery, the occult that I'm so afraid of disappears, because in this moment I feel more complete. And in intimate relationships we search for that soulmate, or that simple complete. But when I'm in front of 500 people, 2,000 people, 100 people, 20 people, and you can play and use some devices to play with attention and open and enter and open yourself to pull them in, there's an attraction. The light we have transmits, and people are hungry for that light, to swim in that energy, like moths go to light, and when they're in that sphere of energy, their frequency changes, and they open, and they don't feel threatened. And so maybe the words we choose to try to express that is an environment of love, but then that becomes a kind of hippie cliche to some people, a socially fearful sort of explanation. But when it's real, you know it's real. So there's a sense of encounter, I like to say. Clown is encounter. And in a festival like this one, you know, we've both been here a few times, this festival has a special feeling of an honest encounter. It doesn't feel like egos competing for attention. And when it has that feeling, it reminds us of something more, something more divine, something of origin.
Yeah.
This circle of attention coming to one point. I don't know. For me, the divine happens when I lose the social, what I call pre-social. When I'm in a pre-social state, it's not a regression, I don't think in this terms of words, but for me it's just a pre-social condition where there's a flash that I realize my connection with everything around me, and I feel less like a Jeff, I don't care a social name. I feel more like sort of what Alan Watts said, you know, all this, doing it this way in the space we call here and now. I think he said something like that. You know, you represent the whole universe, the way a wave represents the whole ocean, or something like that. I feel that's true in my experience. That explanation helps me. Other people maybe have a different perspective, but anyway.
Is it hard to find for you that kind of a thing every night when you have to play night after night after night, for example? Because that's obviously a dilemma, I think, with business, and you know, the work becomes a kind of thing every night, and you have to do work to get them to show.
It sort of depends on the context of what your expression is. I mean, a lot of teachers say, okay, here's a formula that works, or here's what works. That's great. It works for people. It gets them into the light, gets them an opportunity to get going. After they build a reputation or confidence, they can sort of say what they want. But I think that's for me, a lot of people start this process middle age, or after 30, or after they form their mind, or later they're searching for themselves. So I say, well, what is it then? Well, let's start instead not with technique, but let's start with saying something, and then stumble and fall, stumble and fall, stumble and fall, and let it sort of solidify and find its form the same way through cymatics, the sound manipulation creates forms in the sand. So let's change the frequency and change the frequency and change the frequency, see what forms emerge, and feel that, where it's a mess, where it's connected. So, but in terms of business for a professional who's making shows and whatever, well, it's another question. Is this your objective? Is that what you want? You know, Van Gogh saw one painting in his life, but he didn't stop obsessing on what it was he was trying to explore. And now it's the most sought after painter, you know, 100 some years after his death, his paintings go for $200 million, but I think he sold one painting for beer money once or something. Was it that he was stingy, or that he didn't? I don't know. But I think that for me, how do you keep it alive every night? You know, I came from theatre, acting, where you repeat the script, you do the choreography, you do the routine, and you're always searching as an actor in live theatre to find the true personal connection, the egocentric connection, or to really hear the line of the partner, or to really feel, the art. And it's always 6 weeks after you close the production, you go, I got it. Or a year later, you go, bingo, you want to do it again and you can. But I think what helps me, and I'm still learning and still exploring, by no means figured it out, but it helps me to say, okay, here and now, life is short, and I'm only alive in this moment, so I go with some idea or some game, and then I want to encounter right now what's in front of me. That's what gives me joy. I want to go in with some idea and scramble everything up, put a nice order to the place, and then deconstruct my landscape and see what I find, and let my attention move me to different creative transformations while listening to the audience, pulsing the audience, pulling their attention in, drifting them out, pulling them in.
What's the thing you want the audience to come away with at the end of the show? For example, the other night you played in the library, and there were a lot of different situations you created. It was like one of play, and there's moments where they get a chance to look at their kind of conditioning and certain roles that you want them to play or they want to play. So when, for example, the end of the show, is your message about play for the audience, or is it something like, well, I mean, obviously there's deeper, but what would be your main?
I think for people, because as a, I don't know, teacher is such a weird word, but as a guide, you know, we go around and we lecture, we give workshop, we open the door and we explore process to try to help people get more in touch with their freedom, to give them a voice socially, to overcome the social fears and all this sort of thing, to give them some courage and confidence to try to express themselves not only on stage but in life and in relationships, and to live with more joy and more plenitude. Well, that's one message, to see a grown human being who they suppose to show a little bit of technique, you know, and to show that it's a choice to play, is a breaking of a paradigm, that you're not forcing everything to be so defined and so rigid. So right now, this kind of play doesn't have the message of slapping the face of Dadaism or anything like this, but it's sort of, I believe, the condition of our world now is that, at least in the Western world, we have become conditioned to be judges and critics of everything, and to be mindful, we say, of everything. Even we vote for American Idol and Best Talent, and we have our favorites and pay €1, and you cast a vote, you decide the winner. We watch what should be celebrations, award ceremonies to celebrate the pictures of the best cinema of the year, and we get angry they've gotten it wrong, this actor wasn't chosen. We watch sport, and it's us against the other, it's competition, and who's right and who's wrong, and I think that is such a bad state to be in. We have forgotten how to be witnesses, and so this filters into human relationships, and our social masks start to clash and crack, and then we put another mask over and another mask, and so we're so burdened in life that we can't even love anymore. And we talk about compassion as if it's a social decision to have a good benefit for me. Well, compassion is an instinct, isn't it? It's a natural reflex, and we guard our reflex and we try to be compassionate in the right way, in the right protocol, so that we potlatch an expectation for a reward. I'm compassionate, you should treat me nice. Well, were you really compassionate or doing a behavior? So part of my work is to slap the face of how conventional thinking has become, that we make a mindful pre-decision, pre-engineered decision to do this or that, so that I benefit. The sort of social conditioning in my own life as an athlete or as a student, coming from a poor family where no one had higher education, opportunity depended on scholarship, so you had to be the best. You had to be the best athlete to get a cast in the best team, to have the most opportunity. You had to perform the best in school, and so I was trained at performance with reward. So I learned that success meant applying some set of skills with ability that would be recognized by others and not only approved but appreciated to the point that they would reward me with opportunity. So then success, and I started looking at the world this way, and I thought, well, success meant you're the fastest runner, success meant you're the strongest, you know, the Olympic gold went to the best, who performed the best. And I lost the process, and I had to be number one, and it became very competitive. And success means doing everything, applying this very specific thing to gain the approval of the audience. You want the audience to clap, okay, they laugh, okay, you're successful, because the producer will hire you, you'll have more jobs. But then I remember when I watch tennis, which I also adore, or baseball, or play chess, or go fishing, there's a process involved, and the reward is a byproduct of this process. And in life there's a quest or a self-journey involved, and the moments of contact, if we allow them to happen, are byproducts of our meetings. And so this really struck me. Process of Van Gogh, process of Picasso, a process of artistic dialogue, which stopped existing at some point, about mid-80s, mid-70s. We stopped this fruitful dialogue, respectful dialogue, and it became, this is mine, that's yours, he does that, I can't do that, same thing, I have to have my own gimmick to have my success, my piece of the pie. And so competition became a false sense of camaraderie. We sort of were polite, but we're compassionate to one another. But secretly, we're very afraid of losing our little segment of the universe or the pie. And that does not reach the divine, or does not satisfy my joy. So I started to think how, as an actor over 25 years working in the theatre, it is hard to work with a variety of directors and actors from different schools of thought. And we speak in what seems like a codified language in theatre, but it's not like ballet, is it? The word rhythm means 10 different things, but we're not allowed to ask or talk about it. It's just, so why can't we communicate or connect? So I went back to play and play. In play, I found that when people are really playing, when you bring someone from the audience up and reveal the clown in them, and you know you're listening and guiding them, you have your structure points, you know, it's a map. Well, the game we have is a map, and we invite the world to play it with us. Well, we can go by the map in a straight line from City Hall to the monument, or we can go out of town on a bus and go around the town and have coffee and arrive at the same points.
If you had
Two apples and an orange.
no, €2 million, $2 million, for example,
Oh God.
to use how you wanted, what would be your first,
Impulse.
2 or 3 steps or whatever?
I think if I was smart, I'd think, okay, how do I invert this to make it 10 or 20, so that I could help do more things. But
what would be the things then, for example?
I often say, I'm Pinocchio, So I think what I want to do is an intervention. I want to pass out 10,000 bouncy balls and have everyone in the city at 3 o'clock bounce them on the highway and chase them in traffic. Or, I want to build a statue that's a giant pigeon and have 6 actors in nude suits standing on the pigeon and pooping on it. And I give people a 10-year job where they just interact with the statue. I'd like to put breadcrumbs on the highway. And the cars going, and the people in bird costumes run out and grab little bits of bread from them. Interact with it. I want to break the paradigm, break the routine, rescue people from this low energy state that we naturally adopt to go day to day without conflict, without confrontation. So that when we're in that state of expecting everything to be just correct because I'm doing the right thing, the smallest insult, the smallest catastrophic earthquake, or the smallest political decision, it just wrecks the personal family universe, and that happens millions of times, and the whole society becomes this dark conscious energy, and the frequency drops, and so the clown, we needed to raise it up. And I mean, that's sort of a short answer. If I had money, I would think of ways to bring people together. I would like to. So many fantasy jobs. One would be just to go around the world and seek talent, because we're in a birth of another epic of genius. Go to poor villages and remote places and look for incredible young people and find opportunity and ways to support their growth. And I feel my father died recently. I've lost my mother, my sister. I've seen death so much in these recent years, and I'm not in perfect health myself, so you think about mortality and how short or how vital this time is and this consciousness, and I feel like I want to do something to energize. I don't, what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know the words.
Well, I think you do energize. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, that's just what I want to do, and more. But Django says, if you change my life, you live. But I think we get spoiled when you have the opportunity to know hundreds, if not thousands of people, even in one day. You want to organize them, not just demonstrate that you have some ability. It's like, I want the show to organize attention, to be an encounter for all those individuals coming from that world and sitting on this dark, mysterious environment.
Would you stand for president?
Me?
If you could actually manage to change something?
You mean, would I be a politician?
Well, maybe within your own realm of idea.
I'm running for president. One of my characters, Pulke, is running for president. And you want to be smart in America, vote stupid.
Yeah.
And he's promising free Netflix and free slippers and barbecue Tuesdays.
So that sounds like a moment to stop. Don't miss
Pulque
the
for
possible
president.
voting on.
Pulque for President 2016, Pulque for President on Facebook, be a supporter. I tried for Pope, but they didn't go for it.
I think Leo Bassi won now.
I didn't have a duck. I didn't think of the brilliance of the duck.
Well, that's Jeff Johnson,
And this is Johnny Mello.
number one.